Assalamu alaikum. We are so excited that you're here. So you love your deen and your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as do we. So we are here to bring you incredible conversations all about looking after that one body that we're blessed with. Alhamdulillah. We talk about holistic well-being and our deen, inshallah. I'm really excited about our guest today. Sara Saleh is a sister who is just, I've been following her for the last few years, and she's just so down to earth, relatable, and the most incredible drive that you'll witness online. And genuinely, she's gone out of her way to help me personally and other people that I know, to give her time and her energy and her expertise. And she's a business mentor, a Facebook expert, and she's got 2 memberships. So she is, Mashallah, smashing it. And she's transforming Muslim sisters' lives around the world. She's helping them follow their business dreams to succeed, and all with Allah at the heart. So I'm really excited about this episode, so we can just find out all about who she is and her story. So welcome.
Oh wow, what an amazing introduction. Mashallah. Thank you, Erin, especially coming from you as well. Mashallah, thank you.
Thanks. So it's Sara, isn't it?
Yeah,
because I've been calling you Sarah for ages.
Yeah, it is Sarah, but it's Sara, it's fine, doesn't matter.
Bless you, thank you. So when I was thinking about us chatting today, honestly, there's loads that I wanted to find out about, because I think you've got a proper past that is definitely worth digging into, because I'm sure you've mentioned little things that I've gone, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So obviously lots of people know who you are now: Muslim sister, business owner, mentor. What is it that got you to this point? Like, can you talk us through like your journey, highlighting the bits that you'd like to, I guess?
So I'll be honest with you, I didn't do very well at school. I've been diagnosed with ADHD this year at the age of 40, and I didn't know I had ADHD. So that's been a journey within itself. So I didn't do very well academically at school because of these reasons. Like, I couldn't write an essay, but I could stand up and talk about, astrophysics and classical literature because I had all these things, Egyptology, I had all these things in my mind. I used to like read encyclopedias. I was a very early reader as well, from the age of like 3.5. My dad told me that I could read the newspapers at the bottom of the bed when I was like, a toddler and stuff. So I've had quite, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and girls were just not recognised in that way. And especially when you come from a working class family. My family are intellectuals, but I come from a line of working class family. And when you grow up in a council estate, girls like that, we were at a disadvantage. So we were kind of seen, anything that you were a little bit different, you didn't conform, you were seen as a lifestyle choice and as a troubled child. So I didn't do very well academically at school, but I always had a thirst to kind of succeed and do better for myself. And again, growing up through the Tony Blair years of the kind of New Deals, and we did have a lot of opportunities at that time when I was a teenager for different things, apprenticeships, this kind of thing. So I got myself a job in an office that my sister worked at, and I kind of worked my way up a little bit, and then I got made redundant from that, and I got another job in an office, and I kind of blagged it, I'll be honest with you, about what I used to do. I was like, yeah, I did this and that, and they were like, okay, yeah, we'll give you a job. It was a temporary job. It was in a company called Pipex, which is a telecommunications company, and I started out in order management. Within 3.5 years, I was a management consultant for a consulting firm in London, like literally that quick. Like, I accelerated
Mashallah.
that. And I went from, earning 12 grand a year or something to like 70, 80. I was like going up, and I did really well. So in that time, I've battled mental health, addiction, lots of different things in my time. And during that time is when I reverted to Islam. Then I met my husband, and then we moved to London, and I got a job in a consultancy. So that was a 25-year-old. I didn't wear hijab then. I was a typical blonde Barbie tan, nails, everything kind of girl in a corporate environment full of old men. Basically, that's what it was. And I had to work really hard. I had workplace bullying, all sorts of different things happened. And it was very difficult. It was a difficult time. But I was like, you know, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to move to London, because I grew up in Oxford, by the way. So I'm going to move to London and I'm going to get this really high flying job. And I remember imagining what it'd be like to go to work in my suit and have all this money for everything. And people would start liking me and, you know, I'd feel really happy. But actually, when you get there to that point at that age, when you're, you know, older, the validation is not there, because you're looking for validation. I was looking for validation in others because of the way that I was at school, and I was an outcast, and I was a bit of a, you know, loud, chavvy girl, you know, and I was bullied when I was younger because I was very skinny and I was a bit of a scruffy kid. So I think as I got older, I was always kind of looking for that validation. And I think my thirst for achievement came from that. So I think I wasn't achieving for myself. I was achieving to prove people wrong, but also achieving because I wanted other people to like me. But it doesn't cause you that. It just makes people, when you get to having that kind of money at what age you're at, it just makes people want to use you. And if they don't like you and it's still there and the validation's not there, and then you get to that point, and this is where you have to start really unpicking all the mental health issues. And this is when they start coming to the surface, because you've kind of worked to something all your life to feel like, I'm going to work towards this and everything's going to be great in my life, but it's not. I actually gave up work when I had my first child. My husband was like, you don't have to go back to work if you don't want to, don't worry about it. We moved abroad. We stayed in India for a while for my husband's work again. We came back. I had another child. We moved into a house. I tried a couple of different little businesses, like in network marketing. I tried jewelry making. I tried, then I set up a beauty salon as well.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And I had a third child, unexpected child. So mashallah, I've had quite a lot of little things that have happened along the way, but I didn't address my physical health and my mental health along there, because I didn't understand what was happening to me at all. I didn't understand. I thought this was normal. This is how you were. This is a normal state of life, because I'd always lived it. I'd have happy periods and low periods, but I just thought, also having a mum who has mental health issues, seeing her having high periods, low periods, it was just you know, when you grow up in the 80s and 90s in a council estate with not a lot of money, a lot of people's parents are depressed. A lot of people's parents were not at home because they were working a lot. We were at home on our own because my mum was working a part-time job and my dad was working full-time, or my dad would be working nights constantly. And the only time we'd see him is when he'd come home, just if we were lucky, just before we went to school in the morning. So, you know, these kind of behaviors were just normal. And it was only so I had my third child and I was kind of looking for something. I was like, you know what, I really want to go back to work. I want to get something for myself. I want to start trying making an income again, because I did enjoy making an income, and I kind of liked it, because I felt like this is what I wanted to do. So my brother-in-law has a travel agency. So my two brother-in-laws, and they were like, look, come and work for us. So he was like, literally, I've just put in the deep end. He's like, look, we haven't got like a big training program. Here's all the logins. If there's stuff that I can improve, you know, relationships with suppliers, but just go and live the travel agent life and go and get clients. That was it. I was like, cool. Me being me, I was like, yeah, I'll go and do this. And obviously, me being me, I didn't know then I've got ADHD. Other people may have these traits as well, but I can learn systems and processes really quickly. And like within 3 weeks, I'd like memorized flight schedules. So the reason why I could get so good so quickly is because my lead generation, I was out there being visible, talking to everybody. But also when somebody would call me for a holiday quote, I'd say, how many children have you got? Where do you want to go? What time of year? I would know what the flight schedules were, what times flights were taken off from Manchester, London, Bristol, for example, and say, I want to go to Turkey. Oh yeah, right, there's a flight at 16:10, at 9:10. It's going to cost X. It's going to cost you about probably X, Y, Z. This hotel, this, that, like literally within minutes. So when normally people would use a computer program, which I did, by the way, but I could kind of qualify my customers really quickly. Like really quickly, and I would know a lot of things, and so straight away I could tell somebody straight away what they needed. So this is why I was really good at that. But then obviously that business was just amazing. Honestly, we were just making lots of money. We were becoming really good. 2020 was going to be my year. We were taking on other agents to work for us as well, so other sisters that were just going to be like mini me's. And then obviously COVID hit. And in December, January, we were a bit like, we just knew something was going to happen, and everyone was kind of in the clouds. And being in the travel industry, there was all this talk and whispers, and we could see stuff was happening. And I was actually worried that I was not going to get my February half-termers out for their holiday, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to happen a bit earlier than what it did, and we were like, I said, I remember saying to Rob, I think we're going to have a lot of refunds in February, because I think they're going to do something and they're going to stop the travel. And it didn't happen to the March, but when it happened in the March, within a week, we lost thousands of pounds. We had, can you imagine? So I had a lot of people that had their holidays booked in 2023. Sorry, 2020, sorry. 21. Sorry, 2020 and 2021. Yeah. So once the 2020, like Easter was a big one for us, because a lot of my clients were family. Summer, we have to, due to ATAR rules, if it's going to be cancelled, we have to refund that. But you've got to remember, the way that the travel industry works is we don't hold the money, because it's ATAR protected. In order for it to be safety under ATAR rules, it goes into like a trust, so like a holding house. But we didn't actually have the money at that time. We have to process it, but then also the suppliers weren't giving us the money back. So even though there were refunds due, we weren't getting the money back. So I was having people ring me up, swear at me, shout at me, all sorts of stuff, saying I need my money back, because I understand they do. Like, people lost their jobs and they need that money. Like, they're like, okay, fine, I've lost my job, but I spent 4 grand on a holiday, I'm going to get it back. And I'm like, well, the supplier hasn't given it us. So we were getting like people putting complaints in, chargebacks, all this kind of stuff. It was really stressful time, like a really, really stressful time. And me, I'm honest, I'm ethical, and we had to just use what we had and give the money back, just hoping that we would get it. So we basically, any kind of money that we had, so we were basically, my brother-in-law was paying money from their own pocket to be able to refund people. And there were loads of people that weren't giving refunds. They were giving credit notes, they were doing all, but we tried to just be as fair as possible, because we know Islamically there's a contract and you have to adhere to that. But so yeah, that was a really difficult time. And then I got Bowles palsy and a stomach ulcer off the back of all this stress. I still, like, my eyes still a bit funny. So it was the 3rd day of Ramadan in 2020, and I woke up and I lost a feeling on one side of my face. Yeah, and I had big headache and I had a stomach ulcer at the same time. So again, woke up in the morning, got blue lighted to hospital, no family with me. My kids didn't know. My husband said, I didn't know whether you're going to come back. Of course, they woke up and seen that. I remember seeing my kids at the window, and I got into the ambulance and the man said to me, I didn't want to say anything in front of your children, but I have to tell you, we're going to take you in, and we're going to blue light you because you have to go in and having a suspected stroke. And I was like, oh my God. It was just so like difficult. So I was in the hospital, I was on my own, because it was COVID. It was like, I was straight in, boom, in for an MRI, out. I was out in a couple of hours, but obviously they said, look, we think you've got Bowles palsy. It may be related to having shingles or something like that. Had a stomach ulcer as well. And I just didn't get better from the stomach ulcer. And the reason why was because I was actually pregnant. So yeah, I know I had all of this happen at one time. You wouldn't believe it. You just wouldn't believe my story. If you just wouldn't believe it. People just don't believe it. And I'd already started to try another business between this happened. Yeah. So I started up my consultancy business, and I was like going through this, and I just stuck it and just did it. I just showed up. I showed up when I had paralyzed face. I showed up when I was being sick from my daughter, all the way through 2020. I ran 3 programs. I sold a digital product, and I was taking on my first one-to-ones between August.
So what was this? This was the start of your business now?
Yeah. So when I started my business in the March, this all happened in April.
Oh my gosh, subhanallah. So what, So March happened. So what happened between the estate agent? Obviously, that was a crazy time, really stressful. All these things happened. So what was the time frame between that and then
start my business?
March? Yeah.
Well, actually, I'd already started the second business in the kind of January, February, because I kind of wanted to get an extra income stream for myself. And I kind of knew I was going to do something, but started up slowly. So it was at the same time. It was all at the same, it happened all at the same time. I didn't sit around and wait and feel sorry for myself. I just, you know, because when you're in business, coming from a corporate world as well, I know projects don't work, things don't work. You have to pivot and think on your feet. If things don't work out, you can't just, I could have sat around and felt sorry for myself for a year. Just gone, oh, I'm going to have a social media detox or whatever for you, but I didn't. I just carried on. I just pivoted. And the funny thing is, to this day, I still, because of the organic marketing strategy that I put in, I still get holiday quotes daily to this day. And I haven't advertised myself as an agent for over 18 months, and people still contact me. I've had 2 today. People contact me, I need a holiday. Can you get me anything for October holidays? And I haven't advertised myself because of the strategic, organic work that I did then 2 years ago. It's still working now.
Mashallah.
Mashallah.
So what did you want the business to be at that point then?
I didn't really
did
know.
You have a goal? Really?
Yeah. I knew that I had marketing skills. I knew that I had consultancy skills. I knew that I wanted to help women. And it was only a bit later on that it was a conversation I was having with somebody else. And they were like, you know, another thing I did, which I didn't mention, I used to run a Revit support project before I started my travel agency. So I did that for 3 years from a masjid. And again, it's probably very similar to what my membership is, but it was in person and it was for reverts. And I think obviously subconsciously my skills and the logistics and everything that I did for that and understanding about building communities, I've been able to apply this to building communities online, because I know what people want. I understand what people need, you know, from a community, because I've gone and built these communities in person. And now I've done them online, and I've also been, you know, contracted out to do behind the scenes work for very big communities and stuff now, because people have recognized that. So yeah, mashallah.
Mashallah. Honestly, it's such an interesting story. We're going to go into like what you're doing and your business and all that exciting stuff soon. Yeah. But can I just ask you a couple of questions?
Yes.
So, you know, earlier, which I can so relate to, by the way, the corporate thing and the council estate. You know, you were saying about your self-worth. And then obviously once you've got there, and then actually once you've got what was the goal, actually you then have to unpick it all, because you realize that once you're there, that isn't actually filling the void that you thought it would. So then obviously Islam was in the mix, and you know that story followed. So how did you, because you seem like right now, mashallah, you know, you're confident and, you know, self-secure, inshallah, and you just ooze this lovely, I don't know, just a lovely character, mashallah. So what was kind of the point where you felt like you actually got your self-worth and you valued yourself for who you really were?
I'll be honest with you, I think it's still a work in progress. And a lot of people say this to me. A lot of people say to me, but you're so confident and you seem so well organized. I am the most unorganized person ever. I always constantly, I am still, it's 40 years of unlearning it, remember. I've only just started working on this stuff last year. I feel like my self-worth, I detach it. So I detach it from my business. I've had to learn to detach my self-worth and the validation that I feel that I need from others from my business. And I think they can be together. And obviously your own self-worth is related to your business, because if you don't feel worthy, you're not going to show up for your business. But what I've done is I've decided to put it into my clients. So I'm serving my clients, not looking for validation from them. I'm serving my audience, not looking for their validation, which is what I was doing before. And I learned quite quickly that you can lead a horse to water and you can give the best, most transformational program out there, but people also have to want to do it themselves. And it's the same when you're looking for, like, you know, when you're looking for validation in others, like in your programs or whatever it is like that, when you're in business, that's not always going to be a success factor. It's not a success factor. And it can be really difficult to separate that. But like every day I'm saying to my husband, oh, I don't know if I can do this or stuff like that. And, you know, and he's like, you're doing great. You're a great mom. You're doing this. And like, he works away a lot and I'm on my own with the kids, and I've got 4 kids. And I'm working and I'm doing a business and I'm doing the school runs and the madrasa runs and all the cleaning and cooking and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm like, you know, I think everyone feels like it. Everybody feels that there's always never enough. As humans, we just always feel like it's never enough.
Yeah. I'm sorry for the first part, by the way. I muted myself. My husband scared the life out of me. He came in and I jumped literally out of my seat because I wasn't expecting him to come back. I was like, oh, mute. So I'm really sorry about that.
I'm so sorry. It's fine.
At least it's him, not the kids. My gosh, you'd know about that. Yeah, I'm with you about it is ongoing, isn't it?
And I think, you know, another thing I just want to add, when you see other people online and you feel like they are doing really well and they are, you know, the best and they've got everything and they've got it all well put together, trust me, they probably haven't. Yeah. And I've seen I've worked with a lot of people behind the scenes, like not publicly. And honestly, I was a bit worried about working with certain people. I'm like, oh, they're like big coaches and they're going to find me out. You know, that kind of thing. I'm not that good for what I do. And then you go and you meet them and they're just like you. They're unorganized, they miss stuff, there's all the stress behind the scenes. But obviously outwardly, the Instagram feels so great. And I'm teaching all this kind of stuff. And my house looks amazing when that's not your whole house. That's just one room, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. So yeah, it's about not looking for the self-validation of others. It's not about the likes.
Oh my God, it's so true. It's so true. And it's dangerous, isn't it? Like you're right, like we're all human. Yet, even though in every way we know that when we go onto Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is, Facebook, if you're a Facebooker,
you're talking to the Facebook expert, right?
I know. Because she knows. I'm actually going to make your profile for you.
He has a profile.
I'm going to give you a troll account of Erin.
No. She has a profile, Sarah. But you know what? She refuses to even. If I send her a message,
I'm just going to make her profile, and then she's going to be like, people are going to be like, I had to use a friend on Facebook, and it's like, but I haven't got a profile. I'm like, yeah, it's mine. I did it for her when she's ready to come on. Yeah. I've built it up for you, don't worry.
She doesn't respond.
Amazing.
If I send her a message on Messenger, she doesn't respond.
Yeah. Have you messaged me on Facebook Messenger?
Yes, dear.
I'm really sorry. I don't go into it. I haven't got the app or whatever. So I'll have a look just for you. So when we look at all these platforms, even though on every single level we know that that's probably just a very tiny fraction of their life that they want to show us, and in that minute you can edit the video,
I don't think you can
put a filter on.
I don't think it's not that we know, is I think our ego stops us from actually taking it in that it's probably a load of fake stuff. Not fake. It's called, in marketing, it's FOMO marketing or aspirational marketing. So it's fear of missing out, or it's aspirational. And it's that kind of, and also a lot of people use scarcity marketing, which I don't like. I don't think it's ethically, Islamically, but a lot of people use it, which is fine. They follow what they want to follow. And I think that a lot of us know about fake stuff and Bali babes and bros and all that kind of stuff, this bro marketing stuff.
I don't know what any of that stuff is that you just talked about.
Yeah, so like bro marketing, you're like, yay, and all. I'll tell you what happens, what bro marketing is. So we have a lot of titans. When you come online in the coaching world and things like that, we have a lot of titans, which they call themselves the goats. Have you heard of that? The goats, which is an acronym for the greatest of all time. So it's a new thing. It's like they call him the GOAT. You're the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Okay, he's the GOAT of marketing. He's this. We've got a lot of these, shall I say, 40 plus privileged white males in America that are all the big marketers. Most of them are white, most of them are males, are big marketers. The people like, which I've got no disrespect for them personally, but the methods that they use, it works for them, it's great. But I can tell you, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, there's a couple of other ones, there's that Lao guy, Teo Lopez, or whatever his name is, I can't remember some of their names. These guys, okay, they've got the great story, they've got rags to riches, used to be homeless and eat out bins, and then now they're like multi-millionaires and they're all together on a beach and all that kind of stuff. That's great, okay, but the marketing methods they use, and I know a lot of people follow these people, and I don't really care for like ruffles and feathers, but the marketing methods they use do not align with us Islamically and as a female. And what has happened is we have people following these titans for some of these, like, you know, Tony Robbins, you can tell as a marketer, and now as you as well, Erin, you'll start seeing these NLP and these techniques being used in people's speeches. Okay, you start when you learn more and more about modalities and the way people market, you start recognizing it. And a lot of them don't care who's investing in them, whether it's right for them or not. They just want to get their money. They have these big programs, and you can tell what they're saying is scripted. It's in a way, and a lot of us do use the script. I'm being honest about, you know, marketing and being our business. And what happens is this trickles down, and then it trickles down to the bottom of the pyramid, shall I say? And a lot of people at the bottom they don't understand how to use these methods in alignment with Islam or in alignment with who we are. And what happens is we start using these, and we have fake marketing and scarcity put to us constantly on a daily basis. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in our Facebook ads, it's in Google, it's in mainstream TV, it's in all the social media networks, it's everywhere. But like I said, we're trying to aspire to a life that doesn't actually exist. Yeah. Women and girls are aspiring to these models and these faces that don't exist because they're using filters. These are not real life people. And people are getting lip fillers and all this kind of stuff. And it's all to do with self-worth because they want to be validated. And we put so much in the opinions of others. You know, our own self-worth is what we look like. And that's what it is. Like, I saw somebody put something on Facebook, and it was about these two Asian women influencers, and they were like, don't they look like each other? And I was like, because they're using the same filter, same filters. That's why. Because slight changes to the eyes, slight changes to the nose, big lips, the same contour. They're using exactly the same filter, and if they have a bit similar face shape or they have similar hair, they're going to look like each other. Yeah. This is why you have this one weird nose lip look that everyone's using, and these people do not exist in real life. So we're fighting, and we're constantly waking up trying to be something that doesn't exist.
That's not actually going to give you any degree of contentment anyway, because it's not anything that's spiritually fulfilling. It's going after, firstly, you're applying way too much pressure on the superficial that actually you might feel, particularly in the West, that superficially you're going to get places because that's the world that we live in, sadly. And yes, it will get you places, but it's not going to get you places that is going to give you any kind of fulfillment, like you were saying earlier. In fact, you're going to reach a certain point believing that it will do, and then you're going to just fall apart because you're going to realize that your looks are nothing. You know, it's everything else. And when you follow a void, when you go through life chasing something to fill a void, and it's not spiritual contentment, you just onto a losing battle. And I think it's a very sad state of affairs.
Carry spiritual guilt as well. You know, we're all three of us are reverts, and knowing there's a spiritual guilt that we carry around shame that we're not doing enough, and we don't know enough, and we don't know how to read Quran, some of us, or this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that we get put in as well, and it's like, and it pushes us away. It pushes us towards these things because we feel like if we feel a lot, like I've worked in revert support a long time, okay, and I know a lot of reverts say to me, I do not feel good enough to be Muslim, so I'm going to be that old thing.
Oh my
I'm going to go
God.
back to my old life because my husband hasn't treated me well, or whatever reason it is, and that's what they feel. They feel, oh well, what's the point of being Muslim if I can't practice anyway? I'm like, listen, just stay Muslim no matter what you do. Just don't do shirk, and just stay Muslim. You know, everything can be forgiven. And you know, as Muslims, I see this all the time, and I see women battle. I actually did a live 2 days ago about it on my profile that we had someone in my group say she was worried about launching a service because she's got wears a hijab, and she was worried people weren't going to accept her in her niche that she wanted to go into because of her hijab. And I hear this a lot. People say I have a hijab, and it's like we're always on alert as well. You know, we're always on alert because we have hijab on, and we feel like we take our hijab off and society's going to accept us, and we're going to be able to go on Instagram and get all the likes. You know.
Isn't that more reason that we should, as Muslim women who are aspiring to do any kind of business or whatever, that we should have space, and alhamdulillah, the one that you have created is mashallah, like, you know, where you feel that you can align your values, your spirituality, even your business dreams. I mean, there is no disconnect. There's actually no disconnect between them, isn't it? I mean, you know, you don't have to feel guilty about wanting to do your business. You know, just a few episodes back, we had the lovely sister Yasmin Jendal come on our podcast, and you know, she talked about, obviously, as I don't know how much you're aware, she helps people in difficult relationships, narcissistic relationships. It could be anything with parents, spouse, or whatever it is. Sometimes there is, first of all, there's no harm. Actually, it is encouraged for women to have their own money, own, you know, like businesses or whatever. You know, the Khadija radiallahu anha, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was a businesswoman, isn't it? So where is the problem? First of all, there is no problem. And in our day and age, I feel there is so much of marriages breaking up, divorces, or whatever, the husband is not looking after, so many things, single sisters. There is a real need for you to actually be able to do something, and especially when you live in the West, as you talked about the corporate world and things like that. It's really hard to fit in, isn't it? It's really hard to,
very hard.
You know, it's really, you know, there's so many battles. And that's why there is such a big need for women who have, and we all have skills in certain ways, isn't it? Every woman has a skill that she can teach or she can share or whatever it is. And that's why there is such a big need for us to have this space, something like what Sara has created, you know, like where you have like-minded sisters, you have these common dreams. And it is not, I mean, you know, there is no disconnect at all with spirituality. There is nothing at all.
You know, I've done a lot of research on this, and the Muslim market, like the online world and these spaces, is massively underserved. And this is because I feel, this is my opinion, that we as Muslim women, as online entrepreneurs, all of us are online, are an emerging market. Very emerging market right now. It's not even in growth, it's in emerging. And even 5 years ago, you wouldn't have seen as many Muslim women online, you know. And I think COVID changed a little things. I think COVID brought more people out to say they want to, you know, they want to come online, they want to do things, they want to do more, they want to make more money than just selling a few scarves online to their friends or selling a few cakes, which is nothing wrong with that, by the way. You can do that, I'm not saying that, but women want to, now we've got women that are becoming pioneers and leaders. That is what we have, the opportunity. We are all, us now, when we're in 5 years, 10 years time, if we stick it out and keep resilience, we will be the pioneers. We will be the pioneers. We are.
Inshallah.
Because we are the leaders. No matter what you guys think, when you step out online and you put your voice out there, you're an influencer, you are a leader. You have the opportunity to use your platform and lead sisters. You have the opportunity to, you know, empower sisters, you know, give sisters a voice. And we have that, and we are the pioneers of our generation. And I think people don't actually understand the enormity of it, because again, we're online and we're bombarded with this 6-figure, this, that, the other. But where do you see Muslim women out in the mainstream? Where do you see the big? There are some big, like when I say big coaches, I mean successful and widely known in the space. There's a couple I can probably say, more around religious content, Always been. There's always been the same set of sisters that have done all the talks, that have done all the training, have done all that kind of stuff. And I can probably name them on my hand, and we probably can say the same ones. There's like 3 of them. A lot of the stuff they've done is Islamic content, because we were women at home and we didn't do much else. And we felt that we weren't allowed to do anything else with our life except learn more about Islam. That is very important, don't get me wrong. But you can grow a business and you can be your own person. And even if it's not grow a business, if you want to start a charity, or you want to get that full-time job, or you want to do some activism work, you can do it. And the beauty of online is you don't have to leave your house as well.
The best.
You've got a global network now. You don't have to go and do that coffee morning down the road in the church hall. You don't have to, like what I used to do in the masjid hall. I used to do it in the masjid hall or the church hall. Look, people do play groups. You can do this stuff online now, and you can impact a massive wide audience by doing it. And a lot of Muslim women are coming out of their shower right now. So, you know, I know you may feel little and you may feel small and you may feel like you're not making much of a difference, but trust me, you are on the forefront of this emerging wave of just amazing, impactful Muslim female sisters, entrepreneurs, activists, you know, moms, creatives, lawyers, solicitors, doctors, all these kind of women that are coming out now. You are part of that wave right now. And, you know, sorry.
And I think what you're saying about empowering is, and I know it's just thrown around all the time, that word, but I agree in that sometimes, a lot of the time, for me anyway, when you see, we're so afraid of stepping into just being who we really are and our true selves, because we have self-doubt and we're human. And even though we want to stand by it and we want to put ourselves out there and say what's really on our mind, we're afraid to do it. But as soon as we see somebody else that's doing it, that's showing up, there were some videos like a year or so back that you did, Sara, about you just showing up and you were just so real. And I watched it. And I think I DM'd you at the time, and I was like, I gave you a thumbs up or something. I remember thinking that day, why am I afraid? What's stopping me just turning up on a live and talking? And it was you that made me think about it. And sometimes we hold ourselves back because we're waiting for somebody else to step in and do it, to show us it's okay, it's all right. So you're right, we are. It just takes one person. You don't know how many people didn't comment, how many people didn't DM or say anything.
I didn't even consider that may have had that impact for you that day. So mashallah, you know, and I don't know the people that I'm impacting. And again, like I said, people speak to me and people say to me, you're doing amazing. Recently I've had so many testimonials coming through. I've done a challenge, and even now I think it's not enough. It's not good enough. People are going to start complaining. Nobody's going to join my membership. I have those feelings, sisters. I have those feelings. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm walking around like, yeah, I've made loads of money. I got my membership and all that kind of stuff. And even those people that say that stuff out loud, they have these thoughts in the back of their mind. They don't all get up at 6 a.m. eating avocado, Nikita, and like, they don't. People don't. You know, a lot of very rich and successful people are some of the most unhealthy people in the world. They don't do all this stuff, but anyway, that's a different conversation. But so, you know, it's about just getting out there and doing it. And if you have a passion and if you have self-doubt, do it anyway. Do it messy, do it scared.
Because people will relate to you being you.
What is the worst that is going to happen? Your auntie's going to see it. Your friend who used to go to school will see it. They are irrelevant now. And for me, even me, I think, sometimes I think a little bit, what, someone sees it. I think like this. And you know, it's so funny. My husband was watching my stories the other day. I was like, why are you watching my Facebook stories?
I know, get off.
I always watch the stories. I watch everything. I was like, what do you mean you watch everything? He's like, I watch everything you do online. I said, why are you watching all my stuff online? He's like, well, why can't I? He's like, I just want to do it to support you. And when he likes one of my posts, I'm like, don't like my posts. And I feel like that as well. I feel like that, even though I'm very public, you know, it's really strange. And I think, well, what if that person sees it? What if that person sees it? And it's a bit weird because even on my WhatsApp, I'm quite closed a little bit. And I started sharing more stuff like that I would publicly share on Instagram and Facebook on my WhatsApp, because I know I've got like, you know, my husband's aunties and stuff. And I think, oh, well, they think that's a bit risque or whatever, you know, even though they probably wouldn't. But, you know, it's just, yeah, it is a mindset. It's mindset. And I think these start from a very young age. And we've got the opportunity to change that, you know. And our generation, our children are going to have probably something different.
Yeah,
We're going to have something different, but we can make a change now for the next generations and the generations to come.